as we inch closer to winter, we are winding down the garden, winding down some things that are happening outside, which includes planting some strawberry plants that were given to me by my uncle. I wanted to get them in before the frost, and I really hope that we have some huge strawberry patches next year. In addition to that, my neighbor invited us over to pick a lot of peppers and tomatoes from his garden because the frost will soon take over all the plants and we will no longer have the abundance of summer, and instead we will be invited, and if you're like me, feeling like I'm forced to accept the slowness and rest of winter. Here in the Midwest, our autumn season is truly a sight to behold. It is so beautiful, and I do look forward to fall, though my favorite season is summer. The only season I don't look forward to is winter. I love the Christmas season. I love everything before December, but January and February and March forces a little too much rest than I care to have, and the sun just sets a little bit too early for me. I certainly miss the abundance of summer in the winter and really like to take my opportunities while I have them to make fresh meals like this one. With the peppers and tomatoes that we got from our neighbor, we decided that we wanted steak fajitas for dinner. We had already had steak thawing, but wasn't quite sure what we wanted to do with it. So it totally worked out perfectly and was just so tasty. One of the little things that I love that you might love too is a healthy, tasty drink, and that's just pure fruit juice with a pure LaCroix. It tastes so good and is so easy to make, and it's just very refreshing. You guys know that I love to sew and learn new skills, which is why I am so excited to introduce you guys today's sponsor, Mrs. Quilty. The Mrs. Quilty box is the go-to choice for quilters, and it is full of projects for quilters of all levels. There's a diverse range of projects that welcome beginners and even challenge skilled quilters. Each box contains really high quality fabric. Whenever I got mine, I opened it up and I even remarked to my husband, I said, this stuff feels so good. And it includes a magazine with projects for the fabric specifically. You guys already know that I am a huge believer in making stuff with your hands and what that can do for your energy level, your anxiety, how productive you feel. And I am so excited to cozy up with my Mrs. Quilty box this winter and learn a new skill. Mrs. Quilty offers a safe and secure checkout process, and your first box will be delivered within 2 to 6 days. They also have an easy return policy and a 30-day money-back guarantee. If at any point you want to pause your subscription or cancel it, you can do that completely hassle-free. If you are ready to cozy up and quilt this winter, you can save 20% off of your first Mrs. Quilty box by using my link in the code OurSweetSunnyDays20. In addition to the 20% off, you will also receive the following for free: the Ultimate Quilting Guide, a quilting journal, a quilting planner, a Christmas magazine with 10 free patterns, the best-selling kitty pattern, and tutorial videos. The Mrs. Quilty box also is a wonderful, wholesome gift for anyone on your list. It'll feel like they are getting a Christmas gift from you every month whenever they receive their Mrs. Quilty box. Make sure to check out my link in the description, and thank you so much to Mrs. Quilty for sponsoring today's video. You might have noticed in the little intro of this video that we did not spend the whole week here at home. My husband and I have been dreaming about going to Japan for a really long time, and we decided that this October was the perfect time to go. And we are just feeling so blessed that we could even take the opportunity. So I wanted to share a good portion of this trip with you guys in this week's video. We decided to go for 1 week. This is the longest trip my husband and I have ever been on. We are not long trip people. We prefer about a 4-day trip. So 7 days was a really long time for us, but we did love it. As you can imagine, the reason why is because the flight is really, really long. You can see Japan is over 6,000 miles away, so we wanted to spend a little bit more time there, and we are so thankful that we did.
The doors on the left side will open. Please change your for the Jobon line, the Keisei line, and the Nippori liner.
I should clarify that I have been blessed to travel quite a bit. I mostly did all of my travels before my husband and I were married. I experienced so many things, and I am really, really grateful for that season of my life. But that is feels a little bit far removed from how we live now. We really love being at home, but this was just such an experience. I don't even know how to organize my brain to tell you all of the things that we learned and experienced and ate in Tokyo, but I'm going to try to do that. As always, whenever I go somewhere far away or even close, honestly, I love to see what they grow. So we visited the Shinjuku Gyoen. I could be pronouncing a lot of things in this video wrong. The National Garden, and it was really a sight to behold and a wonderful reprieve from the massive city that is Tokyo. Now, my husband and I do prefer traveling to cities. We love the cultural experience that cities provide. We just feel so immersed when we go to a large city, and it's very different from how we live at home. So that is our favorite way to travel for sure. We also find that good food is easy to come by in large cities. What you are seeing here is something called okonomiyaki. Again, I might be pronouncing stuff very wrong. It is kind of, the best way to describe it is that it's like a dinner pancake. There's noodles and shrimp and onions and savory things all in kind of like a pancake that you eat. And we don't have that kind of restaurant that I know of, so that was really fun. Another thing that I am really excited to share with you guys is our visit to Nippori Fabric Town. During the research part of our trip and on our trip, I noticed that Japan has a culture of making things and just very creative and very fashionable culture. So it makes sense that they would have an entire street dedicated to fabrics and crafts. And this was a must visit for me and did not disappoint. I tried my best to not be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of fabric options that there were, and I did get a pretty decent haul. The most notable thing about the fabric stores in Japan, actually there's several things. One, how much fabric they can fit into a small shop. It's still so organized and clean, but it's tiny, which I just really appreciated. And 2, how quality every single fabric is. They are all just so nice. I think that they maybe had one shelf in a store of 5 stories that had polyester on it. They were all natural fibers and just beautiful hand and feel. It was such a lovely experience to shop there. Another thing I was really set on doing while we were booking was taking a cooking class while we were in Tokyo. Now, I didn't get a ton of clips because it honestly just felt rude to stick a camera in someone's face while we were trying to chat and hang out as a group and learn how to cook. But this was such a lovely experience, and I will definitely be booking more cooking classes on future trips. I cannot recommend it enough. You get to learn from someone who lives there. And it's just we learn so much about the culture, so much about the food. And then now I want to come home and make that ramen recipe that we made while we were there. It was just such an awesome experience. Another thing my husband wanted to do was go to a Japanese steakhouse or a Wagyu restaurant. And so we booked this experience. It was so cool and just so unlike anything that we have here. Eating Wagyu and the taste of Wagyu is so different than what we eat here, which is Black Angus. My husband and I are both very adventurous people with food. The raw salmon, the raw fish, the raw beef did not bother us. We loved getting to eat food that we don't normally have around here, and it was just so tasty. Every single meal we had, we loved. We went up into the Shibuya Sky Observatory to see an overview of the city. And wow, this city is huge. I did not realize how big it was. The infrastructure that they put in place to accommodate this many people is really incredible to look at. The crosswalks blew my mind, just how big they are. And the subway stations, how many people they hold, how many routes the subway goes. The map is just crazy looking compared to New York. I thought New York was a big city, and that was before I went to Tokyo. So that was just such a unique experience to have, and we both really loved taking that all in. We feel so incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to make a trip like this happen. I feel so inspired when I travel, and when I come home, I want to take the things that I learned from their culture and use it in my own home. We loved Japan. The people there are so polite. It's a clean city. They're tidy people. They're quiet, which was so interesting to experience, and we just loved it there. Travel is such a blessing, and I love to be at home, but we know that it is such a worthwhile experience to go and learn how other people live. As always, I hope this video was inspiring to you, and I will see you guys here on Our Sweet Sunny Days next week.